What's up, Bay Area? Welcome to Talk Back, representing your issues, your voices, your words, and your concerns, looking at local art and politics in your neighborhood. And here's your hosts, Anthony and Michelle.
Yo, what's the deal, Bay Area? If you don't know by now, this is Talk Back. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Michelle. Welcome, you guys. I'm glad that you're with us today. Hey, I'm going to start out by asking Anthony a quick question.
Go ahead, shoot.
You're a young dad. Let's go back, way, way, way back when you were a young gun.
Wasn't that far back, everybody.
And tell us how hard it was to be a kid. It was hard, right?
I think it's hard for every teenager. I mean, that's part of adolescence, right?
Yeah, that's part of it. It makes it a little bit harder. Maybe if your parents speak two different languages. I know that's what it was like in my house. I went to school. Kids were like, your parents have an accent. They sound a little different. Maybe feel kind of out of place, right?
Hey, my stepfather was from Central America, so here I am, 6'2", basketball player, hugging all up on my dad. Hey.
He was a little bit shorter.
Yeah, a little bit. But
you know, imagine if you are a kid and your parents are lesbians, gay, bisexual, or transgendered.
Hey, for those that don't know, that's the LGBT community.
Yeah, we're going to be using that term a lot on today's show, LGBT. We're going to look at the community and see some of the perspectives we find in that community. So stick around and let's find out a little bit more about what it's all about.
Let's do it.
Well, I have two lesbian moms. I always thought that it was something to be proud of, that I had two moms. So I was always very proud of that. And I think, even when people would kind of be like, so your mom's gay? And I'd say, yeah, very proudly. There's not a whole lot you can say to that. Because when you're, confident enough about something, there's nothing really to make fun of.
I mean, a lot of people have different families. People can have a mom and a dad. People can have one parent or live with their grandparents or be adopted. But those are all acceptable. And my family was different in a way that wasn't really acceptable.
I know that, in my middle school, which was very, very conservative, priests would constantly come in and preach about, how homosexuality was wrong, and it was a very, very hostile environment.
The community that I lived in, I'd been going to school with these kids since I was in, daycare and preschool, or at least, kindergarten. So I'd known these kids all my life, and they knew my moms, and it was cool. I was the kid who had two moms, or I was just Abby. I mean, it didn't matter to anyone, but I started to realize that there were people who didn't know me who would think that my family was weird and even wrong.
So as a family, we're very open and visible, and we try and educate people as much as possible about families like ours, how we're just like your family, and why we deserve the same rights.
So welcome back to the studio. Okay, from the little teaser, you can tell that today we're going to talk about kids and parents of the LGBT community. So with us today, we have two guests. My first guest is Beth Tepper. Is that right?
That's right.
Beth Tepper. You are the executive director of Collage. Briefly, give us a little bit about Collage's mission.
Sure. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for having me here today, and it's really a delight to be able to be here to represent and speak on behalf of the millions of people who have one or more lesbian, gay, bisexual, and or transgender parents. That's what Collage is. We're a youth-driven national organization that engages, connects, and empowers people to make the world a better place for children who have gay parents.
Fantastic.
Welcome, Beth.
Thank you.
I also want to introduce our other guest, Asia Jones, and her 7-year-old daughter, Celeste. Hello. Hi. So, Asia, you're a San Francisco native.
Yes, I am.
So you've been here your whole life, so woohoo, go Bay Area.
Oakland.
And it's also great to have you here with your daughter and share with us the perspective of a young lesbian mother living in the Bay Area. And hopefully, in the feature and later on when we get into our interview, we can ask you some more questions.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much for having us here today.
It's probably nice to have kind of a safe place to be able to, with your daughter, share some stories, informally.
Yes, definitely.
Well, I have got many questions that are related to the LGBT community, but I'm going to save that for the interview part, so I'll grill you guys all later. But for now, let's take a look at our feature and maybe learn a little bit more about these perspectives in the LGBT community. Stay with us.
I was going to winter formal one year, and I was calling my friend, and she wasn't answering her phone. So I got to formal and I said, hey, how come you weren't answering my calls? And she's like, oh, my mom took my phone away. I was like, why? And she's like, 'cause she's gay. And I was just like, oh my God, mine too.
I would just sort of casually bring it up maybe in the conversation and see how people took it. And there were a lot of sort of double takes, like, what, you mean two moms? What do you mean by that?
Well, my moms have been together for about, I would say 9 years now, 8 or 9 years. The second day that Gavin Newsom was allowing couples to get married, we were the first in line at 5 in the morning with sleeping bags and everything, and we waited there until about, 8:30 or 9 whenever the doors opened, and it was an amazing moment, even though it turned out that, the license were invalidated. No one can invalidate the love that my parents have or the love that we have as a family, and, we still proudly have the marriage certificate, so.
So my mom, my biological mom, had been dating this guy, and I'm actually not sure if she'd broken things off with him. They were on a break, and she found out that she was pregnant. She and my other mom, Betty, had actually known each other in college, and then they re-met about this time.
My mom always tells me that, I may look more like her, but that I have my other mom's attitude.
So they were dating while Kim was pregnant with me, and then I'm not sure when, I think it was before I was 1 year old, they moved in together, and we've been living together as a big happy family ever since. I was talking to this one guy, and I don't even remember how this came up, but we were talking about like having gay parents, and I was kind of like, can I tell this guy about my parents? I don't know. And he just said, I know that there's nothing wrong with it, but I wouldn't want to have gay parents. It's little things like that. It's not people who are gonna, beat someone up because they're gay, but it's the little things, and often those are the things that hurt more because it's so hard to combat that.
We have a pride flag that hangs in front of our house. I think it's 2 pride flags actually, and that's the rainbow flag. And because of those flags, more times than I can count, people have keyed our car, left messages on our doorstep telling us to go back to San Francisco. They throw rocks over our fence. We face a lot of discrimination every day. A lot of people tell us, just put the flag inside, or why don't you move to San Francisco? And the answer is simply because this is where we chose to live. This is where, my moms chose to raise their daughter. They thought it was a really cute, small, quaint, little community. And we're proud of who we are. We're proud of being a diverse family. And, we're in this city making the statement that, our types of families are everywhere. We have the freedom, and we all, we should open everyone's mind by letting people know that we're here and we're a family.
And then, of course, getting older, you start to hear, homophobic remarks like, that's so gay, or, oh, you're such a fag. And
really, we are a face for, that's so gay. The perfect example of a family that's really affecting.
And I knew what those words meant. A lot of kids didn't know what those words meant, but I knew that in ways they applied to my family. And to hear people saying them like that was a bad thing, that was really, as I said before, it was scary.
Just saying the phrase, that's so gay, that really, it's more than you think, and it's more harmful to people that, possibly, have 2 moms or 2 dads, or are questioning their sexuality themselves, or have a gay uncle. So we really let people know the impact of their words, and, how hate and discrimination affects, a family like us every day. My daily life is mostly going to school. And then along with that, a lot of activist work. We speak at, different rallies. We do, different TV shows, anything really we can to educate people about our families. So I would consider myself the product of the LGBT community, since that's, where I was immersed in. And, I wasn't blessed with a lot of, biological family. So I have made so many, extended family members, met so many wonderful people that I now consider part of my family, like Mark Leno, who's my godfather. He's an assembly member, California State Assembly member. San Francisco Board of Supervisor Bevan Duffy is my fairy godmother, emphasis on the fairy. And, Miss Shabazz, who's Malcolm X's oldest daughter, is my aunt. Caroline Marks, who's the wife of the late Senator Milton Marks, she's my adopted grandmother. So, family is just really what you make of it.
Most of the kids of my acquaintance who also have gay or lesbian parents have also experienced this, that there's just a time when it's like, this is too much. I wish I didn't have, a gay family. And then you get beyond that. And for a while, I felt like I was just the worst person in the world because I loved my moms, but I wished that my life wasn't so hard and it was their fault. And, you get beyond that point. You really do. At one point, at some time, you will realize, you know what? I don't care what anyone else thinks. I love my family, and they're my family, so just deal with it. And once you reach that point, it just becomes, everything becomes easier. You will not worry what other people think as much. And I think that that's true with just accepting who you are. That's true in most aspects of your life, you know. There's a point where you just become comfortable with yourself.
Hey Bay Area, welcome back. So, my goodness, after seeing that feature, seriously, I can't imagine being that well adjusted as a high school student. Myself as a young lady, I don't think I had that much confidence looking back. So it's making me think of the bright future that is ahead for you young ladies. Celeste, it's a great view for you to see the great bright future you have ahead of you because of the wonderful mother you have here next to you. So Asia, welcome again. We talked earlier about the challenges about being a young parent, but tell me a little bit more about some of the initial challenges that you faced coming out as a lesbian mother.
I think probably the first and foremost most difficult thing was trying to find the right way to go about talking to Celeste about it. You were 4 years old? She was about 4 years old at the time, so this is a young age, and fortunately I was really active in my student body. I was going to school at the time, and which is kind of a funny story because I was involved in so many different gay and lesbian activist things and being really involved in that, and I had made all these new friends. Hadn't quite yet dawned on me that that might be the direction I was going in, but it really helped open my eyes to different things that, you know, parents faced and families faced. One of my main projects that I worked on was doing a paper and a bunch of research on different laws in different states in the country and what that was all about. So it kind of helped equip me with the information I needed.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's
logically to ground me in a really difficult emotional thing, which was trying to introduce this idea to my daughter that was completely new to myself and her in a way that was best for everybody.
I bet that was pretty difficult. Celeste, I want to say hi, and my daughter would be so jealous of your tights. I just had to say that. 'Cause you're just so dressed so beautifully.
Yeah,
right
Jalen's
now.
not the only one who wants those tights.
That's right. That's right. Now, Beth, I want to ask you a question. The two young ladies in our feature were collagers from your organization. As you just mentioned, you can't take all the credit, but I'm sure you guys have had a hand in helping them, you know, be as confident and as comfortable with their parents.
Well, yes, you saw both Marina and Abby, and both of them have been involved with collage. Gosh, Abby probably was about as old as you were when your mom came out to you, about 4 or 5, I think, if my memory is right. And Marina joined it when she was 8 or 9 years old. And they just started by coming to some of our social activities like ice skating parties and bowling parties. And then they joined our middle school group and then went on to be part of our Youth Leadership in Action program, which has since created many educational tools. They've been spokespersons on behalf of other LGBT families, and Marina especially has done a lot of work in the California legislature really promoting legislation that will protect and benefit LGBT families like hers.
It sounds like you're giving them a lot of like life lessons, not just, you know, within the community, but they're getting a lot of different influences and different experiences through the organization.
We're absolutely all about building youth's own strength and confidence in themselves and then giving back to the community.
Right on.
Beth, how long has collage been around? I was looking at collage.org and I kind of went through it, but how long has this organization been around?
We're celebrating our 15th anniversary this
Whoa.
year.
Wow.
15 years.
Yes, so we've been around since 1990, although the very seeds were really, I guess, dropped in the ground in 1988 when there were 6 young people who were kind of dragged to a conference of lesbian and gay parents. You know, the conference was for the parents, and so they found each other near the pool. And they ended up hanging out and, you know, went to each other's rooms in the hotel and discovered that they really had a lot of things in common. None of those 6 young people who were in their teens and early 20s had ever met anybody else with a lesbian or gay parent before they found themselves at that conference. And that was really the beginning.
That's amazing for them.
Beautiful.
Especially at
Asia,
that
I
age.
wanted to ask you something. The reading that we did before this, I read that you had an experience at Celeste School with the principal. And let us know a little bit about that, because I was blown away being a parent myself, and so it kind of hit home like explain it, and then we'll talk a little bit about it.
Sure. Well, there's a really kind of sort of downlifting story, and then there's another one that's really uplifting, which is more recent, and I'll tell both. The first one was when Celeste graduated from preschool. It was, you know, just a little preschool, small, just a director and about 5 or 6 teachers. My partner at the time, we were both there to support her, and her dad was there with his family. And right after the ceremony had ended, the director came up and asked my partner and I at the time to stop being so affectionate. And it wasn't like we were making out or anything. It was like affectionate, like
family.
Maybe some hand holding or an arm around the shoulder for a couple of seconds, or both of us, you know, congratulating Celeste and that sort of thing. And she said that it was making the other parents feel uncomfortable. And my initial thought, being
uncomfortable, probably.
Right,
That's about it.
being the fiery one that I am, was like, this level of affection in a, you know, a straight couple would be completely acceptable. And it's just, you know, it's the fact that there's a lesbian couple here with their daughter that
And you said that to the principal?
I did, very quietly and very tactfully. I did, and I said, you know, we'll tone it down. Not that I really honestly believe that there's much to tone down, but, you know, we're just here to celebrate Celeste and to support her just like everybody else is.
Now, Celeste, I want to ask you, how do you feel? It seems like you and your mom have a great relationship. Just talking to you guys, has that ever been a problem for you, knowing that your mom is lesbian?
No.
Never. That's a beautiful thing. Now, with you, Beth, you're kind of like fast forward from her and from our teenagers we just saw. Your parents were lesbian in the household, and everything was a beautiful, beautiful experience. So kind of give us a little bit about that.
Well, my mom was 10, well, I was 10 when she came out. And I didn't know my dad. He had pretty much left the scene once they were divorced when I was about 2. And my mom, I really consider her a single parent, although she had different partners. You know, the longest partner she had, she was with for about 10 years. Wow. And they are still friends today. But what I tell people now is that she's single and looking.
Uh-oh. For you viewers out there. Okay, now, for the person at home that says, hey, you know what? I'm heterosexual. I believe that there are roles. I'm a father myself, and I see firsthand in my home the things that I provide for my daughter and the things that my fiance provides for my daughter. Now, what do you have to say for those people out there that are like, hey, I think that there should be, you know what I mean, that something is missing.
Right,
if there
something
aren't two.
is for dads to do and for moms to do, and if you have two of mother too, I mean, is the child missing out on something?
Right.
And maybe we can ask Celeste too a little bit later, but help us with that. I think we talked earlier, that myth.
What do you think about that?
What do you think about a mommy and a daddy having specific things that they do, and how that might be different from having 2 mommies or 2 daddies? Do you think that it needs to be different? Do you think that you have to be a boy to do one type of thing?
That's a good way of putting it,
a
I
girl to do
think,
another type of thing, or do you think it doesn't matter?
Doesn't matter.
No.
Hey, I think
There was
changing
her entire year of kindergarten. I was the one away at work full time, and my partner was the one who stayed home with her, since kindergarten's a lot shorter hours, and just financially it made so much more sense, and it was so much more worthwhile to have her be with Celeste rather than have Celeste be with childcare or something else. And so she was the one who got to go on all the field trips and do all the fun stuff like that. And, you know, I got to hear about it from the office. You know, and that's one great example and she was always warmly welcomed. All the parents loved her. The kids adored her. I mean, they'd all just flock around her and ask her questions, which was a really good thing, because you know, kids when they're that age, they just kind of blurt out whatever comes to mind.
Yeah,
and
very innocent.
Yeah, exactly. Even if the question in itself would typically be offensive, when it's coming from a little kid who doesn't know any better, and what they're trying to get at is the truth and to understand something, I think the best thing for parents to do, gay or straight, is to take those questions and answer them in a really compassionate, informative way.
Right.
In the 11 years that I've been involved with this organization, Collage, what I have found amongst my peers, both younger, older, and same age as me, is that what matters is that there's loving, caring adults who are willing to take responsibility and care for children. And it's not about gender, it's not about sexuality, it's about being present and consistent and taking the love and care in the family for the child.
Now, our guest, her name is slipping my mind, but you know, she said that her family is extended.
Oh, yes, Marina has,
yeah.
especially in the LGBT community, I would say, because oftentimes basically like our grandparents reject our parents for coming out, then there are kids who lose their biological family because they're rejecting the queer person in the family. So we have to make family. We build family amongst our friends and our peers. You know, and that's common in many cultures. You know, there's cousins amongst friends and aunties amongst friends in many cultures, and that's true in the LGBT community and culture.
I think the other thing too is for our viewers, obviously we're all here in the Bay Area, but in the Bay Area we're used to a very diverse community, and maybe in a second you can tell me the concentration of lesbian and gay, bisexual, transgendered couples in the Bay Area, but kind of generally looking at it as a nation or whatever, I think we'd all agree that most people are pretty homophobic, and that there is a lot of things in media perpetuating myths and misconceptions, and on this show we're going to dispel some of that stuff. But plain devil's advocate, how do you respond?
We really don't have time.
Oh,
We're going to get
Lordy.
to it. We're all out of time. Hey, we needed about 15 more minutes, 20 more minutes. We could have gone on forever. But right now, Charity Tools is talking to you guys about the gay and lesbian community and the parents and kids. Check her out.
Hey, Talkback viewers, you're here with me out on the street. We're about to head over to Berkeley High and check in with some young people about how they feel about same-sex parents. Do they know anybody who has gay parents? How would they feel if their parents were gay? So let's go check in with them.
I think that it's a wonderful thing. I know some really happy families, gay families, and most of the people I know who have gay parents are very happy. They're very close with their parents, so I think it's wonderful.
How would you feel if your parents were gay?
I would feel very disrespected almost.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I feel like parents should set a good example for their kids. So if the parents are gay and they're telling their kids to, live right, but they're gay, then it kind of makes the kids want to grow up and be gay because this is what they see,
So do you know anybody who has gay parents?
No, I don't. I go to church.
But I tend to find that like a lot of religious groups, ethnic groups that tend to be more religious, tend to be more conservative when coming to the topic of gay marriage because it defies what, they learn in church.
So you think that people who are gay don't go to church?
No, definitely not. I think that people who are gay have a misunderstanding. That's what I think.
So how would you feel if you found out one of your parents were gay?
I wouldn't care. This is Berkeley.
How would you feel if you found out your parents were gay?
Bad. I feel pretty cool about it. I just wouldn't let her or him just say it out loud. I'm gay and I'm proud.
Why do you think it bothers so many people?
Too many people want to run other people's lives. Right. It's not my issue. You find somebody who love you, then be with them, no matter who they are.
You don't know anybody who has gay parents?
No, not that.
What about you?
I think I would be shocked.
Why is there such an issue with it, in your opinion?
I think that it challenges norms and that people are afraid of anything new and different, and that's basically why anything people don't understand, they're afraid of.
As long as they're good people, anybody should be, a couple or able to adopt children, care for anybody.
People with same-sex parents usually are a bit more confident than others, so.
Interesting. Why do you think that is?
They probably are in conflict with a lot of aspects of society much earlier in life than most people are, so they grow up being stronger people.
I ain't tripping, I really don't care, just as long as they don't try to get too close to me, then it's all good.
Around here, I think that there's like there's more tolerance than anywhere else, but there's still a lot of homophobia.
So as you know, at Talkback, we like to cover the controversial issues. This issue has definitely been present at the state level, and it's very informative to get out here and talk to young people out on the street to hear what they have to say. As you saw, there's a lot of different views. I hope it got you thinking, and we'll see you next week. Back to the studio.
Wow, that was incredible. Charity, once again, out there asking you guys the questions. But, you know, it's really crazy to see, you know, we live in a place like the Bay Area, and there's still a lot of quote-unquote homophobic people.
Yeah, I mean, we're spoiled in the Bay Area that we get to see a bunch of different perspectives of people and, you know, different cultures, different sexual preferences. But generally in the U.S., I think a lot of people are homophobic, and it's not surprising because we have very institutionalized things that tell you, you know, that's right and that's wrong.
Well, that's why today's show, here at Talkback, only here at Talkback, would you get the perspective that we got today?
Yeah, it was nice to get an outsider within view and kind of pull back to the Bay Area and see how that's functioning here in the Bay Area. You know, right before I always get cut off, I was talking too much, but I was gonna ask her, you know, we were talking about this too, is being gay, bisexual, transgendered, lesbian, is that a learned behavior?
Is it something, or are you born with it? I don't know. I mean, do you guys know? Hit us at talkbackcentral.com.
Ask these questions.
I want to know what you guys think.
Yeah, because we didn't get too much time to talk about it, but I don't think it's learned. I mean, I don't think it's learned. It was kind of like Beth was saying, you know, if you have a positive family environment, you're going to learn things everywhere. It's not just inside your home.
Yeah, I agree.
So it was a myth that we wanted to dispel, and I wanted to say that on the show as well, so you guys knew.
Hey, but today was fantastic. And Celeste was so cute. The
Isn't it great when we have a young little host?
Hey,
so
she's on her way. She was making us nervous.
She was so poised, too. I couldn't believe it.
Was. But you guys need to hit us at talkbackcentral.com. You got a show idea, you got somebody next door that has this incredible talent that you need the world to see, hit us, talkbackcentral.com. That's right. So next week, what do we have?
Oh my gosh. Oh, next week you're going to be excited about what we're talking about.
How many of you out there are on the PS2 playing Madden, the NBA Live, like me and my friends? Well, next week we're going to get all into it. Grand Theft Auto, is it too violent?
No, I think that game ruined my last relationship. I don't know.
My Grand Theft Auto story, I was really playing and went to go get something to eat, and I was really driving kind of maniac-like. So anyway, check us out next week. We'll talk about video gaming, okay? Talk back.
See ya.